All right, so on this independent practice, it's worded a little different from how we have had our examples. So these are kind of the questions that you're going to see a little bit more frequently just because they're a little bit more challenging. So there are multiple answers. So if you think of something, just check with your teacher and kind of go from there. But I'm going to give you what I think is a good answer. So this h of x, that is what's produced right here. So you're trying to figure out which two functions, the g and the f, if you take them and put them inside of one another, how are they going to produce this? Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to notice is that there's a squared outside. So that means that I could have an x squared function. Okay, and then I've already got a function that's inside, so that's going to give me a 2x plus 1. Okay, so one of these is going to be x squared, and one of them is going to be 2x plus 1. So I got to figure out which one. Okay, well, remember, when we do the composition functions, we take the first one, and then we put the second one inside of that one, right? This one always makes me think of a turducken. That's where you have a chicken inside of a duck inside of a turkey. It's a weird thing that people do around Thanksgiving time, but it's like you cook a chicken inside of a duck inside of a turkey. And that's kind of what these compositions kind of turn into, is you take one function and put it inside of another, and it creates this really cool thing, right? So if I took 2x plus 1 and I plugged it into x squared, that would give me what this function is. So this guy right here is your f of x, and this guy right here is your g of x. Y'all are going to go Google turducken now. That's great. All right, so on this next one, we've got this cubed root of x, and then inside we've got this x squared minus 4. Now we got to figure out which one's which. Well, we took an x squared minus 4 and we plugged it into this one. So this guy is your f of x, and this guy is your g of x. Okay, again, there can be more than one answer. If you think of something better, that's awesome and that's great. Okay. On the next one, I see we've got this 1 over x plus 2. So one of the functions is going to be x plus 2. And then the other one is going to be 1 over x. Okay, so I would say that this one is f of x because that's what you're plugging into, and this one's g of x. Okay, this last one's a little tricky though. You've got h of x, which is negative x squared plus 3, and 4 minus x squared. I would say that on this one, there's going to be a lot of different answers depending on how you want to look at this one. But in particular, I could do the fact that you've got this negative x plus 3 is going to be one of them. And then in the bottom, we've got this negative x squared, but we've got a 4. So let's like rewrite this one. Let's go negative x squared plus 4. Okay, so these are kind of similar. The only difference is there's a 1 added to it. So I could say that in the bottom, I've got 1 over x plus 1. So really, my function could be x over x plus 1. Because then I would have my x be this function. So I'd plug that function into this, and then I'd plug it down in the bottom, and that would produce that, right? So one function, and I know some of y'all are like, what? Okay. One function is going to be the fact that you've got this negative x squared plus 3. That's definitely going to happen. And then the other one's going to be x over x plus 1. And the reason why this works is because we're going to take this and plug it in the top, and then we're going to plug it in the bottom, and that's going to produce this. Okay, so this is going to be your f of x, and then this is going to be your g of x. This is what you're going to be plugging in. I know these are a little tricky. It's supposed to basically take what we just learned and then reverse it. But you're going to see these a little bit more often. I know I've seen this before on like higher up tests. So you got to make sure that you understand them. You got to break it down. It's kind of like a puzzle. So if you came up with a good one, but I didn't have it on here, just ask your teacher, and I'm sure you can have a good discussion about that.